Welcome back to another episode of Rob and Amos Ramble. We've secured a good guest. I'm actually pretty excited about today,
Mhm.
and it's a guest that some people might go, why are they having this guy on their podcast when they're talking about marriage, right? He's already laughing. So who we have with us today is the Fort Worth Playboy, and he's got a pretty decent following on X, which is where I know him from. I actually connect with a lot of things he says, and I think they're true. And I think they're true whether you're married or you're not married. And that's why I thought this conversation, maybe made some sense to have with him, even though he's coming at it from a little bit of a different angle than what we're coming at it. A lot of the same things that we talk about, it's the same thing, whether women
Yep.
are single women or women are married women, the same kind of core psychological, beliefs and behaviors still exist. And I think it's good. I don't think we should just throw out some sort of advice because it came from a particular person who maybe has a focus over here versus someone who has a focus over here, because it's all meaningful.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a good segue into introducing the Fort Worth Playboy. And what can you tell us? You want to give us just a quick little background about yourself? I don't want to belabor it too long, but
Yeah,
tell people who you are.
I think for people to wrap their head around it, easiest would fall under the dating coach, category. But really, as somebody described myself and my fiance Bunny as attraction experts, and that's really what we do best is help men become more attractive, which everyone benefits, to the opposite sex, and most of it is through a lot of um, background that I did with Chateau Artiste, which was a major blogger, and a lot of the game guys, and game in this sense being learn charisma, which is what game is. And we run game per se um, on women. And that's where, it's charismatic. Women benefit because they're with more exciting, interesting men, and the men are more interesting, and everybody's happier. So in a way, it makes everybody benefits from this. Sometimes it just does look kind of one-sided if you're coming at it from just the men's viewpoint, but women benefit from it too, and they find it attractive. So
Yeah.
that's really it in a nutshell, and it's very very pieced together right there. It's kind of hard to describe sometimes.
No, I
Yeah.
think that makes a lot of sense. And I think, if there's a keyword we could hone in on there, I think you said it, which is attraction, which matters. It matters in the dating world. It matters in the marriage world. And
Absolutely.
it's something I know that we hear a lot of, and a lot of the interactions we're having that are more kind of focused on marriage, and how many women and frankly some men don't give that enough credibility. They're like, oh, we're married. Like that stuff doesn't matter anymore. And it's
Right.
like baloney. It still matters. It probably matters even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And credibility. I mean, I've signed the contract before. I was married for 12 years.
Mm.
So I think in our world, it's kind of like, can you give advice? You can if you've signed the line, at some points. But you have to actually experience it yourself, because there's some things as a married person or as a single person that you're just not going to experience unless you're actually married.
Yeah.
It just changes the frame of everything slightly. um so I had that experience, and then like I said, came and learned game after the divorce, so
Yeah.
I've kind of seen it all. But being married does change the frame of a lot of things, not necessarily a 180, but it's
Yeah.
off by a little bit. There's
Yeah.
other factors.
I think that's
Yeah,
I think that's really good insight. Yeah. Sorry, you're
absolutely.
gonna say something?
Well, I just remember, we lived together before we were married, and
Mm.
then we got married, and people were like, "Oh, it's just the same," and I was like, "Not really." Mentally, there's a shift there,
Yeah.
right? Because now, like, you're super committed,
Yeah.
right? Like,
At least the men are in this country. The women,
it's a
kind of depends on
different
what the courts
well,
say.
I'm speaking from my point of view. I was super committed at that point, right? So, like, it is a different it's a mind shift for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's both it by law and society, and in your own head. It's very, very real.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. You shared there. You said something I think maybe people would find a little bit surprising. I know I did when I first heard it. Just kind of understanding the background that or with the point of view that you're coming from. You said that you are engaged, so you're not anti-marriage.
No,
This is what I'm gathering.
no,
Yeah.
I don't think it's realistic. I mean, from statistically, historically, 90% of men and women have gotten married in their lifetime. The the chances, or what would you say, the percentage chance of you getting married if you're single is high. And, a lot of people like to kind of balance that out. They're like, people aren't getting married as young, but I'm like, just give it some time. These things tend to all even out over time. Kind of like girls don't want kids until they're about 32 or 35 and the alarm goes off. You know, we have to kind of like watch society as it ages a little bit, another decade or 15 years for it to actually hit. It's just going to hit a little bit later. But most people get married, and 75% of men get married within the first 5 years after their first divorce. Men like being married. And it's just so you have to kind of like, well, how can we make this thing better? You know? So, they'll say they don't, but most by action do enjoy being married. They get
Yeah.
married a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
So that's
I,
that's the real deal. I'm not no. I mean, and there's also other factors, you know, going on than just our own, guys that push back against it, I've noticed tend to be pretty young. Well, and because I'll ask, guys
yeah.
that are very anti-marriage, they'll tend to be either they went through a terrible divorce. I mean, just a which
Mhm.
by all means, make no mistake, it will not stop a lot of men. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. They'll get married tomorrow after the divorce is finalized. But it's usually younger guys that just don't. They're 22, 23,
Yeah.
which I don't think they have any. I didn't get married till I was like 32, 33.
Mm.
I had no business being married at 22 or 27, whereas you two got married extremely young.
We did.
Well, you
Yeah.
got married right on time, really. You know,
Okay, good way of putting it. Yeah, and
yeah,
I do. I kind of have said. I mean, I think just being self-aware and being truthful about it. I do think getting married young, it 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 heads off in you know, prevents a lot of problems people run into in marriage, but it also opens the door to other problems that you don't necessarily have, right? Because
right,
there's not the history there. There's not like you don't have as much experience potentially, right? There's other things that come into play. So I don't think that there's really a necessarily a perfect answer, but
right,
what we did was we got married young, and so far we've made it work.
right.
Yeah.
And I would have had absolutely no business whatsoever being married before I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
Each person has their own kind of like timeline.
Yeah. 100%. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
Um, so do you mind telling me? So I've been quite vocal about. I'm very much against state involvement in marriage. I think the state should get out of the marriage altogether. Um, we are legally married, right? I mean, that was just something we did, but I believe it adds these dynamics to marriage that aren't necessarily healthy and weren't really the intent. So I'm kind of curious, you now you're engaged. So what kind of marriage arrangement are you seeking? Are you planning to get married, legally married?
Yeah,
Just co
through the state. I mean, it kind of messes people up, but yeah, I mean that's my understanding of
Yeah,
a marriage. I mean, people can be married in the church and
sure.
civil ceremonies, but again, it's like joining the military. I never really joined, but if you sign the line, it's a
Yeah,
contract.
yeah,
Yep.
Are you willing to sign the line? And then you move forward from there. So that's at least where I'm at.
yeah.
When you're in your 40s and 50s, other factors start coming into it, like money. Like,
Mhm.
if there's a spouse that's passed, and there's inheritance, or there's spousal support or social security. There's other things, I mean, and I mean like over time, millions of dollars that add up. And
Yeah.
where people will say, let's get married. We can't legally get married because so many benefits get lost. So there's
Yes.
always a wild card. Does that make sense?
No,
But as
it
far as, go
makes a
ahead.
lot of sense. Yeah, no, I was gonna say I think if I understand where you're going here is it kind of given the current legal structure of things like you've obviously got a woman you care very much about to the point that you want to marry her, make her your wife. Um, and there are benefits that you want to be able to extend to her that maybe because of the current structure of the laws can't really be extended without actually having that piece of paper that says you're married.
Yeah. And there are cases where by getting legally married, you're older and you have more restraint. Like there's other things that would be affect children,
Mm,
children inheritance, cash, other things. So they decide not to get legally married. Again, it's not my specialty. I don't
yeah,
really, I just know what I will do or would
yeah,
do.
yeah.
But I don't project that onto any other person's circumstances, which sounds very wishy-washy, but people
I,
have, they have their own decisions to make.
I think
Yeah.
it's actually quite consistent. I mean, but you consider yourself kind of red pill
Yeah.
sphere.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think my understanding of the red pill. I'm not an expert in red pill by any means, but my understanding of it is it's really just information for men, right? And it's information that's provided to men that has observations, and I've heard it called the largest behavioral study or largest behavioral study that's ever been done. um and what men do with that information, I think that's a lot of things that women that don't understand a red pill misinterpret and misunderstand. Is the red pill is not necessarily telling men what to do. It's just
Right.
saying, here's information. You do with that information what you want. And
Yeah.
each man kind of chooses his own path, right?
It's for lack of it's praxeology. And
Yeah.
the way you may look at like what I do, like the red pill's like this umbrella, and gain, attraction, and the umbrella is strategic. All this is strategic. We're tactical. We show you exactly what to do to become
Mhm.
more attractive. But a lot of this is there's a lot of philosophy. There, it really came from like the men's rights activists. Rollo keyed the word. I mean, these things we all know. We know where a lot of this came from. We know the first time that it, surfaced. Um, so there's no real mystery, but it's very much a philosophy, for lack of a better word. It covers a lot of ground, and it's open to interpret your interpretation in
Mhm.
some realms, you
Yeah.
know, because I believe Rollo he'll narrow down on a very specific subject if there is a definition of it. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Yeah. 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 It does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the best I can describe it. It's because again, I'm tactical and it's very strategic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it's brilliant
The
as a
red pill.
woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's your goal, why wouldn't you want to know and study all that you could about it and understand how it works? Talking about women, right? Like
Yeah,
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, the more we can understand about kind of built in hardwired behavior, the better for all of us, right? We shouldn't hide from those things.
Yeah.
it yeah it in our little world, and I do mean little. We're a teeny tiny community within us. Um, and I have to convey this to a lot of the guys is like the vast majority of men aren't that interested in women, and it's not homosexuality or it's disinterest. They
Yeah.
they find women to be confusing, um, boring, um, flighty, untrustworthy. And this is just their normal, and they much rather like drink, get high, fish, hunt, pursue a hobby.
Yeah.
That's the vast majority of men, and that these are men that are very happy to get married. They give their parents grandkids. They'll do it, but they're like, just take the paycheck, keep the kids. I just want to go hunt or fish.
Yeah.
Um, and most guys in my little world, they became interested in girls very early, and more than average, and they find it interesting, and so they pursued, how do I figure these things out?
Yeah.
And there's no
Yeah.
downside. You're right, because there's guys that are far more enthusiastic than I am, and I mean, they live and breathe picking up women every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I'm like, I mean, that's their job, that's their lifestyle.
Yeah.
So
I mean, from a monogamous standpoint, I really enjoy it.
Yeah, from a monogamous standpoint, yes.
there's no
Yeah.
downside. But again,
Yeah.
the things they learn trickle down.
Sure. Yeah.
You know,
No. Mhm.
Yeah, well, that's one of the great things that I think the women that are so what's the word I wanna use? I wanna say bashing, I don't know if it's the right word, but just they don't really understand what this information is, and if they would just accept it and accept themselves and kinda cast off the shame about, whatever, when you're kind of operating in what is the natural order,
Yeah.
everybody's happy, including the woman.
Yeah.
right?
Men
Yeah.
are men are just learning what women want. So in essence, we're getting what we want. So I don't see that as a bad thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think the rub comes because, like, we know what we're doing to a certain extent. We
Sure.
study this, and we know what we're saying. We're watching for indicators of interest, and we know about women's posture, how they're moving, what they're saying. Women want you to just get it.
Yeah.
They want you to just get it. They want things to just happen. So you have to make it look like it just happened
Yeah.
while doing all these other things running in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the trick, really. I mean, the girls love it. They're attracted to it and they have fun. But you're actually really managing the whole thing
Sure. Yeah.
as opposed to just pure luck, which has served a lot of men for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but luck only goes so far.
It can only go so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
so these men that you're advising and you're helping and you talk about the men like they would love to get married and they're learning game and they're learning the things from learning to you. Like what in your experience and your how you advise them, let's talk a little bit about this age gap uh
Oh
topic.
yeah. Age.
What do you recommend? And does the answer change depending on what phase and how old the man is in life? I imagine it has to. But what are you kind of telling these men to target as far as age gap, if you are at all? Maybe you're not even saying that to them. But
Again, some men are just not going to be interested in girls a lot younger than them.
Mm.
We're talking about men starting at like 35, 40, 50. What really happens is most people, let's say generally, aren't familiar or comfortable with an age gap because they met in high school and got married. Or at most, he was maybe a couple years ahead of the girl or graduated from college a couple years ahead, and she graduated from college and then they got married. So there's a 3 to 5 year gap. That's the first round. Once you kind of move into after your I hate to say your first divorce, you are in your 30s or 40s and things have changed. Um, let's say you're 42, 43. This is as a man. The women that are around 43 do not like you because their ex-husband is 43. Their
mm,
boss that did them wrong is 43. And every man that has given her a bad time or she's dated has given her, it's been in that age range. She's a peer. And women generally don't like peers. They like guys that are a little bit more dominant, a little bit more elevated. Um, so that's when that 10 year, and we say 10 years seems to be the sweet spot, and that's just from observation, 42 to 30, 30 or 28, um, 45 to 35. We see good results with that. So, like when I get a guy on the phone who's been through a divorce and he's not sure where to start, I suggest it and I
Mm.
give him the reasons. Because girls that are about 35 are looking for a guy who's 45 who's had 10 years more experience, 10 years more, earning. He's more stable. The kids are older. There's all kinds of benefits. So that's what we've seen seems to work best um, down the road.
Mm,
Can a guy who's 30 marry a 20-year-old? Yeah, of course. 22 to 30, yeah. But where this came from was that older set generally, because people the first round tend to they're marrying somebody age appropriate.
yep.
And then when they get out, they're like, man, these women are just like me. They're vicious. And I'm like, well, let's find a different group, like 10 years younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there, I can do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of those women
So,
will be happy about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you can't do a 10-year gap until you're 31.
No, I mean, literally, yeah, the math,
Yeah.
the math
Yeah.
doesn't work.
The
But
math
there's a
doesn't
lot of
work.
difference. I mean, there are guys that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s that, you know, that want to date girls in their 20s. And, that's a whole specialty of its own, talking
Right.
about that. But the age gap stuff is, I think when you see like 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 somebody said, a 45-year-old man and a 35-year-old woman are the same age.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, that actually makes sense, and I have a gentleman who's 52, high energy, healthy, fit. He he needs to date somebody 10 years or more younger that can keep up with him because he's not
Yeah.
slowing down.
Yeah.
He's just now really starting to make some income that he wants. He's been struggling his whole life, like trying to strike it rich, and now he has. So he needs somebody that can keep up with his
Yeah,
activity.
no, I think that's a great call out, and we talk about that a
Yeah.
lot too. Just I mean, even though Davis is 9 months younger than me, so
I
we're
was gonna
practically the
say,
same age,
come
right?
on, man. There's
um,
there's energetic older ladies.
well,
Were you guys
but
in the same grade together, or was she a grade behind?
she was a grade behind me.
There you
Yeah,
go. It's
but
already
so,
started.
so it's already started. Yeah, but I think I mean our situation is what it is, and I preach a lot, and women get mad at me for saying it. But I think this is one of the reasons that men that are not in that age gap situation need to be very proactive about staying on their wives, about staying fit, staying energetic, feeling good about themselves. Because as to your point and what you're making, us men, we want our wives to be able to keep up with us. And just the reality of biology is that kind of is you're getting up into the age, that we're at now in our 50s. It's getting, that gap of kind of physical I don't know if ability is the word I want to say, but just, like I'm not getting as tired as easily as she is, and
Endurance, I
endurance and
think,
all
is
those sort of
the
things, right?
yeah.
So it becomes even more important that you're staying on top of your spouse about staying
Yeah.
fit and those things. And I don't think that's being an asshole. I think it's actually insulating your marriage, right? Because what you don't want to be is a guy that's, now, 52 years old as I am. And it's like you're looking at your wife and you're like, well, she can't keep up with me. And it pisses women off when I say this, but it's like, well, that's not satisfying for me. I want someone who can keep up with me, right? And then those wheels start turning, and the next thing you know, you're like, oh, well, you know what? That 40-year-old down the street's starting to look pretty good, right? And we don't want that. We want healthy marriages. We want these things. So, like, just you got to deal with reality. And the reality is, you need to stay on top of the fitness. You need to stay on top of the things, and to staying young as you can. I say that to men too. Um, but to the point of what we're talking about, one way to kind of help mitigate that is having a little bit of an age gap, right?
Yeah.
And I think that makes a lot of sense.
I think
Absolutely.
this brings up another question that I have. I did, it rubs me that this whole idea that American women are too abrasive, and like you have this whole passport bro situation because women from other countries are more submissive and softer. Any insight on that?
The passport bro question. Oh man.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, if
Okay.
we're gonna pick on being older, we might as well pick on
And are you asking this in the context because a lot of these men will go to these
yes.
other countries, and
Yes.
that's where they'll snag kind of their more
Right. And
submissive.
yeah. They're like passing by all the American women because of bad experiences and saying, "Oh, we're
So they're
just
they're
too
getting themselves
abrasive."
a
And
more culturally submissive woman who happens to also be that 10 years or more
yes,
younger,
right.
who's more
How he
open to
said
it.
it.
That's
Okay.
true.
Mhm.
They do. I mean, there usually is an age gap there too, and I think that's mostly like I say that it's kind of opportunity because I see a lot of younger military guys, and this is remember where the passport bro comes from military men bringing back new wives.
Mm,
Mm,
Either you see a lot of guys going to like the Philippines, Thailand, Japan, the Orient, bring back, but a lot of people don't mention like you see a lot of guys coming back from Germany
yep.
with German wives and a Mercedes. I mean, it's just part of the culture. So um, that's where it all started. I mean, because you can look back into like the 40s and 50s, guys would bring a wife back, from overseas. Um, but generally, I think that is the perception, and that's the guys that advertise or say, "Hey, do you want my system for going overseas?" And that's what they pitch. And I believe from who I spoke to, just my small, the women, and it's hard for us because I've never dealt with like, what would you say, foreign women
okay.
Mhm.
that much in that realm. But the guys do say that it's hard to conceive how submissive or feminine they are because we're so used to American women.
What we have here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, which is funny because like my best friend really likes Asian women. I mean, he's truly, and the more fresh off the boat, as he says, the happier he is. But he can relate. They get off the boat and they can relate to him because he was
Yeah.
married to a Thai girl. He understands the culture, but that's his thing. And I mean, he likes it like some people like redheads.
Is
That's
this
Sure.
do you know my brother?
enthusiastically. Say again, sir.
I said, "Do you know my brother?" Is
Yeah,
this who we're talking about?
yeah.
This is
I
kind of
mean,
my
it's a
brother.
thing.
He's divorced and Asian girls, like that's his thing. He loves
Yeah,
Asian girls.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
again, and I do know guys in our world that generally it takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of balls to pick up, leave your family, leave any
Mm,
connections and friends you have behind, go to
yeah.
a country where you have to learn the language, you still have to earn money,
Yeah.
um, and meet a new person and bring them back or stay there and join a new culture. The guys that I've known, they generally needed a low cost of living area, even like Ukraine before it imploded. I had guys over there that were building their own businesses so they could pay like $500 a month overhead while they built an online business, and they all brought back wives,
Mm.
and they're
Mm,
all still married. So there's some truth to it,
yeah.
But again, a lot of this is your frame of reference is you're in a foreign country. If you were like not confident before, you've got to be confident now because you've hit the ground and you've got to survive. So the person, he's not the same person he was here, where he was just a broke guy, living out of his car or whatever. Now he
Yeah.
actually has an apartment and he's got a business and he's an American. So it's a frame of reference. So who he is changes too when
So
he
your
hits the
game
ground.
just naturally improves when you go somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, again, the basis
Got
being
it.
confidence, irrational
Right.
self confidence. You got to have some irrational self confidence to get on a plane and leave everything behind.
Interesting
In the pursuit.
perspective.
Yeah, I mean, you're building not all of them. A lot of them have money as they go, but to build a business and pick up a wife at the same time, you know,
Yeah.
takes a lot of guts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
No, that's a good way.
Instant game. Who knew? I didn't know. I love that. I'm understanding it a little better now.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on that aren't on the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, well, I'm gonna dip my toe into something here that is probably gonna get a little more controversial than the things we've been talking about. So I have heard you and others. This is not solely you. I see this a term being used a lot. Is saying women are designed to be passed around, or it's she's not yours. It's just your turn. And I've heard
Right.
various kind of um takes on what exactly that means. So, as I've kind of had some more red pill knowledgeable men on here, I've liked to kind of ask this question of them, which is, what does that mean?
Okay. Generally, let's say as adults in their 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s, if you don't get married right out of high school, um, you meet a girl, she's attractive. There's a chance that, in fact, there's a very high likelihood she was having sex with somebody else this week before you met her. And
Sure.
she's probably still going to have sex with him or them while you're getting to know her. And then
Mm.
let's say you guys get together. She says 12 weeks in, she's already dumped these other guys. She thinks you're a great prospect. Hey, what are we? And you're like, well, let's be boyfriend, girlfriend. And so then they're together for a couple of years. And then it starts to fail and she starts fishing at work, other guys. So she's sleeping with you and then perhaps she starts sleeping with the next guy. There, it's not just she's not yours. It's just your turn. There's a
Yeah.
chance that she's had sex with men before and she's going to have sex with other men after, you know?
Yeah.
Even if, and I thought about this in y'all's context, even if when you pass, there's a chance in 2 years or 3 years, your ex-wife or your widow will remarry.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's that's and women, again, we were talking about like being overseas for better or for worse, they're designed to be passed around. I mean, they're resilient, like
Yeah.
a French, she's French. Her French husband has now been killed. The Germans are here. She has a German boyfriend. The Germans get pushed out by the Soviets. Now she has a Soviet boyfriend. She's adapting as it goes along.
Yeah.
So that's where that comes
It,
from. I mean,
I think that's good. And I think it checks with kind of what I've heard other kind of more red pill men say, which is, um, well, one, you're saying something I haven't really heard it spun in a way before, thought about in a way before, but it's also kind of speaking to the resilience of women in some way, right?
yeah,
But even more than that, it's speaking to men to kind of say, "Hey, if this happens to you, don't go lose your shit, right? Don't lose your frame. Your life's
yeah,
not
it's
over,
really a
right?"
buffer. I mean,
Yeah,
it's you have to see because girls have no idea like how upset guys get when they even just hear about her talking to somebody else
sure.
before he met her.
Yeah.
We've all been through that. And what do they call it? The green monster of jealousy. I
Mm,
mean, nor should you squash that. There's a reason for it. I mean, it does get people into trouble, but generally, if you can know this going in, and then you find out she was sleeping with somebody else when you were dating, and we're not exclusive, guys don't tend to have the mental breakdown or dump a very good prospect. They don't
yeah.
make bad decisions,
Yeah.
and girls can take it. I mean, over time, they're not as delicate as we would like to imagine. They are. You can't put a bunch of pressure on women over time and stress, and it doesn't debilitate them. But as far as sexually, they can, you know, go through a number of men. And some girls were designed that can sleep with a lot of men, and it doesn't affect them. I mean, you start really talking to like players, and the girls that were most promiscuous or loose, like in high school and college, are now happily married and moms. They're minivanning. They're driving
Yeah.
around. They'll fight for their kids, and they're
Yeah.
they're faithful to their husband. So a lot of that's overblown.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. No, I think that's good. I think that's a good answer that makes sense to me. All right. Well, continuing on in the trend here of wanting to kind of ask some controversial things that maybe there people say married people aren't supposed to talk about. But hey, we're going to talk about it.
That's what we do here.
Yeah. So you, one of the things I see you, and I think you were the first person I ever actually even saw on X talking about this when we joined that community, is that women don't like to be slut shamed and they will travel to get away from kind of the prying eyes of the people that they know who may look down and shame them for being promiscuous and etc. And they do what they can to avoid the label. But they actually enjoy kind of being the slut. And I'm saying this with quotes, right? Because I'm trying to be a little bit nice to the women. They're going to get upset for me for saying this, but tell me a little bit more about that.
Okay, I
What
would
is
say
this?
this. Yeah, and words matter.
Yeah.
They enjoy being sexually adventurous, but you'll be hard pressed to find a girl that says I want to be slutty or I was a slut and I was okay with.
Sure.
And there's some talk show host who is amazing that he's a talk show host because he can barely speak. But he had an interview where he went to a slut march. And
I didn't know there was such a thing.
yeah,
Go ahead.
and there's all these girls there for this slut march. Like, I love sluts and he's like, so you're here to support sluts and are you a slut yourself? Well, no, I'm not, but my friend is. Or I won't just sleep with anybody. I'm selective slut. I have to be
Asking
in
for a
love.
friend.
Yeah, or like one girl very quickly said, I think you need to understand, I love my boyfriend. It was very quick. And so you're going to be hard pressed to find a girl that says I'll sleep with any man, other than the Bonnie Blue character, which I hate to even say that because hope it doesn't break a filter on your
Right.
video. But
Yeah.
she's the only one I've ever actually seen in an interview go, yeah, I'm a slut. And that's one woman out of the world that actually, really admitted it and said, this is what I like to do,
Yeah.
and she's built different. She's just built different. Um, they like to be sexually adventurous, which can sometimes, unfortunately, be as- assumed as being a slut.
Yeah. Or
Um,
promiscuous. Yeah.
promiscuous, yeah. Yeah. And again, like people go, women are not just traveling so they can have sex. No, but it's a fun byproduct. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Airports are sexy, aircraft are sexy. All of it, travel itself is kind of sexy. Hotels are very sexy. So you can't really blame them. But again, a lot of it has to do with getting away from the prying eyes of friends and family. It's like girls when you go away to college. Let's say you got a college where there's like 3 or 4 girls from the same town.
Mm-hmm.
They don't hang out together. The guys will. Oh, what's up? What's up? Have you talked to your mom? That sort of thing. But
Yeah.
with the girls, they stay very far away from each other because they don't want whatever they're doing going back home.
Interesting.
So it's one of those weird things. And again, we're always talking about environment or timing. It's just like when girls get to college away from home for the first semester. Most of them, they're either looking for a husband already, which I respect, or they're looking for the first 5 or 10 guys that may someday be a husband. So it's an experimental stage.
Yeah.
So they want to be, what would you say, adventurous.
Adventure. I think that's a great word because I think in my mind, and I'm kind of thinking about it in the frame of marriage, but I think really like what we're saying is women like to be sexually adventurous, right? And for some
So
women that gravitates more into promiscuity, right? But I don't think it necessarily has to be.
I
no,
And
think if you're not attached, you're gonna be called promiscuous.
if you're not attached, no matter what.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're being sexual with more than one partner, I think that's where that word slut comes into play, right?
Sure.
Because
Well, and I
I
think
mean,
and it's I'm sure you've been following on X, the last week or two. There's the debate right now about saying be your husband's porn star, which we've been very vocal in that conversation, is raging.
yeah.
And these, and because women don't like it, right? It's like they have a lot of reasons, but one of the things is like, well, that's just a slut. And what I keep trying to kind of reframe that is it's not, right? Men just want fit, feminine, uninhibited, sexually enthusiastic women to have sex with. That's not how men are necessarily thinking about it when they say the term. But they associate it with slut, and that's why they get so freaking
I
upset
can
about
see
it,
that.
right? Rather than
And
just saying, just be
yeah,
sexually
and
adventurous.
you can't, for the women, you really can't blame them because a lot of them, it's upbringing, you know, what they were brought up with.
Yeah.
How their parents talked, the restrictions around them. Um, I mean, you're talking to a guy whose fiance wrote How to Fuck Like a Porn Star. I mean, she has,
Nice.
I mean, so
Yeah.
I understand. Um, the word that I do see over and over is there being some enthusiasm. And I didn't really pay much attention to the debate because it can really bog you down,
Yeah.
and
Sure.
um and there's so many other things. Um but the be his own personal, I kept seeing that over and over. I didn't know that was what was going on. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
well, but I do. Sometimes there'll be something like really big in the world going on, and then like the next day, I'll get like a DM. They'll be like, "Man, I really appreciate you just focusing on picking up women," because that's
Yeah.
all I did the
No, they
day
call that
before was
flying.
focus on
Yeah.
that, and that's what I'll focus
And
on
I
tomorrow.
can appreciate that. Yeah, like
Yeah, I got
you
like
kind
a
of
a
getting
one
plugged
track
into like
mind. I feel kind of bad. I'm like, oh, I missed it.
no,
You know?
but I think it's completely fair and makes sense because like you said, like your thing is really helping single men, helping them
Yeah,
work on their game, all that, their confidence, all those sort of things, attractiveness, right? So like plugging into a conversation amongst married people of saying, "Hey, be your husband's personal porn star," and seeing how
yeah,
outraged the
and
women are
like you
getting.
said, and
Yeah,
people get upset.
yeah.
I mean, I'm like, I get it. The controversy, you believe it or not, I try to avoid controversial things.
I find that
You
hard to
know,
believe with some of the things I see you post on an X, but
I know, I know.
I mean, but so like as a married person compared to like these single adventurous women, like where do you if you're not talking about it, how do you know what's happening out there? Like how do you know what other people are doing? You have to be talking about it.
yeah, I think women
Oh
need to talk about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I Yeah, it,
Like a statement, she'll do anything. That's come up in our lives before. And we're like, what is anything?
Yeah. What is anything?
Do I do anything? I
Yeah.
don't know. Are there
Right.
things out there I don't know?
Yeah. 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 It makes you wonder in all
I
your
guess it
years,
does
Yeah.
come
maybe.
down to the individual. You know
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
What's adventurous for one person is very vanilla for another.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
Yeah.
mean,
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I think that's in these women who are kind of telling on themselves, they're getting upset about this, and they're like, you're like, be your husband's personal porn star, and then they come out, they're like, there's no way I'm allowing him to do like all these like crazy wild things, and you're like, yeah, that's not what we meant.
Yeah.
right, and it's probably
Yeah.
not on his radar either.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But if it is, have the kind of relationship that he could say to you, "Hey, so and so told me about this. Would you like to try that?" And don't like even if you don't think it's good, don't be like, "Oh my god, you're a freak."
Yeah.
see, that's
Yeah.
that's interesting because there is one thing that we say in our little world is girls can't talk about sex. Bunny can talk about sex,
Yeah.
but most girls can't talk. They can't talk about sex outside of the bedroom.
Mm.
And then if you bring up something that happened in the bedroom, they'll be like, "That wasn't me. I wasn't
Yeah.
there." No, they're like, "You're imagining things," or "It was a dream," or they'll just leave the room. So it
Wow.
is
Okay.
tough for guys to have a conversation when like 90+% of women will not talk about sex unless you're actually in the middle of it, you
Okay.
know.
Interesting. So part
So
of my shelteredness is coming out because
and maybe
I
maybe
didn't
Yeah.
that's
know
just,
this.
no, I wouldn't say. I mean, this, you talk to married guys too, because it's
Yeah.
funny because there's a book. God, now I'm going to blank out, of course, and it's a book that we recommend all players read, and it's, believe it or not, it's from like the 70s,
Oh.
and a writer sent out questionnaires. Tell me, to women, all ages, um, tell us your sexual fantasies,
Hmm.
and like
Was
eighty
this the Secret
percent.
Garden book? Or that was written by a
Yeah, yeah,
woman?
yeah, yeah,
Is that it?
yeah.
Is it?
Say
No,
it
that isn't.
again.
See, My Secret Garden or something? I think I've heard of that
every
book.
every man halfway interested in sex and women should read that.
Yeah.
It's an eye opener, even if you're experienced and have seen some crazy shit. It's
Yeah.
good to see, because what was interesting I caught was in 80% of the stories, the woman said, "I could never tell my husband this; it would make him mad."
Mm.
Mm.
And this, again, this is the 70s,
Yeah.
so things. But it caught my attention that there's you know, a give and take, that there's a lot of things kept
Yeah.
from the husband
I find
over
that
time.
crazy because, as a woman, if you have a best friend, like most women will tell their best friend anything. I mean, literally anything. Why wouldn't you tell your husband anything that comes to mind, right?
I
Like,
don't think all women see their husband as their best friend.
yeah, I mean, I get that too, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, this is the person you've chosen to do life with. Like,
Yeah,
that's the person you should be most open with.
I think there's a little bit of, right. I mean, not everybody's relationship is in the same place where
No.
the trust has been developed and,
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. Yeah.
And
I can kind of
a
see
lot of guys keep their wives in the dark about everything too,
that.
So
Yeah.
it's a
Do you
two-way street.
Um, yeah. Well, anyways, I'm sure this debate's going to continue to rage on X, but like I
Yeah.
said, I think these women are
2
just,
weeks is really good.
yeah, they're and they're just I was talking about that My Secret Garden book, which is kind of reminding me. I mean, really, and these women that are flaking out, it's like they're kind of letting their own secret garden out
I mean,
in what they're saying. Yeah,
the pile of books I have that I need to read, we just added 2 in this conversation.
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna be busy.
All right, so kind of, I guess, along the same lines, like you do. You do give advice to husbands about, wives who are no longer fucking them and how to fix it.
Right.
Sort of, right? I mean, I've seen you talk about this a little bit on X.
Yeah.
So like and do you mind sharing kind of like what is
No.
some of that
I
basic
don't
advice?
mind at all. Dread game, which is basically, you know, in a marriage, you're restricted. You can't just kick her out. You know, you can't solve the problem by telling her to go. Well, actually, sometimes you send her back to her parents. But
Yeah.
ideally, you have kids in the house, that sort of thing, and things are in trouble. Let's say she's not sleeping with somebody else. That's usually the caveat here, that things
Yeah.
can be turned around. And it's a number of things where, for the man, he creates competition anxiety in the wife. Women, let's talk about jealousy real quick. Makes men murderously angry. Jealousy turns women on. She sees a pretty girl flirting with you, it turns her on. It doesn't make her crazy angry,
Hmm.
it turns them on. Time after time after time. So basically, what dread game is, she dreads the idea of you leaving her or fucking somebody else. So she turns it back on.
Yeah.
And that's the whole, I mean, that's the shortest
I
version of it.
I think
Mm,
that's great insight, and I 100% agree with that. I mean, I think
yeah.
Avis, I mean, she's self-aware enough and honest enough to admit that, women want men that other women want. And what is
Yes.
the best way to kind of see that in action is that you actually see other women wanting your man, you know?
Chasing them around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Mhm.
And that's okay, right? I mean, I don't
Oh, absolutely.
again,
It's natural.
why would wives be afraid to admit that?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, because most guys are like, I saw you talking to that blonde. Oh, no, no. It
Yeah.
just makes her mad.
Yeah.
But instead
Yep.
of going, well, of course she was. All beautiful women want to talk
Yeah.
to me.
Why wouldn't she
Yeah.
You
talk to me?
know,
Yeah.
it just feeds the beast. So
Yeah.
that's really dread. Make no mistake, it's a nuclear option. And there's a lot more that goes into it. But if your marriage is completely like dead, your outcome is going to be the same.
Yeah.
You know,
I would agree with
she'll
that.
either stay or go,
Yeah.
but you will be improved. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if I stopped giving you any kind of attention and you were like, "Hey, Susie down the street, she said she liked my shirt."
Oh, it's Susie today, not
It's
Janet.
Susie,
Okay.
yeah. Today it's Susie.
Yeah.
Because Rob is a little oblivious sometimes, and I'll be like, "Well, did she touch your shirt?"
Yeah.
And he'll be like, "Yeah, she said it felt nice." I was
Yeah,
like,
she's wearing it right now.
That's
"Dang,
right. Yeah.
Susie is picking up on
I took it
you."
off and gave it to her. What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly. Of course she's into it. Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Right, yeah, and then you're like, "Okay, he does have it going on." I
Yeah.
mean, that's not a problem
Yeah,
here.
Yeah.
I don't think in a healthy marriage is a bad thing,
No.
but
Uh-uh.
more women need to
No, no,
kind of
he's
be
coming home.
self-aware and
He's
Yeah.
need to
coming home.
Do
Yeah.
I know that other women want Rob? Yes, they tell me as such.
Yes.
But does it bother me? No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
No. Well, and that's basically what dread is you're creating competition anxiety.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I get that.
Um, all right. Well, thank you. I mean, I think that's great advice. And men, you'd do wise to heed that advice. And women, you'd be, you just admit it
Yeah.
that you're good with it.
Although
Yeah.
I prefer passive dread over active dread. Active dread in a flirtatious situation is okay, but
Yeah. There is some psychology behind it
yeah.
for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely. That's a
Yeah.
good call on that. That's a good, yeah. It's good to ask, to break those two out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think hardcore active dread is a little bit too much like, dude, I can't.
Yeah. Well, again, that's why we say it's a nuclear option. It can either deter or you can blow the whole thing up.
Yeah.
It just depends. And people have, I mean, make no mistake, men have made mistakes and blown
Yeah.
up the marriage. And,
Well,
Yeah.
you
one
know,
of the things I kind of is a new thing I've been talking about a little bit on X is, one of the benefits of being with your wife and the same woman for a long period of time is you really get to learn her hormone cycle. And in the kind of this conversation of passive versus active dread, like during certain times of the month, one technique is actually a little more fruitful than the other, and vice versa,
Yeah.
right? And it all
I,
depends on where the hormones are.
y'all are all better men than me. I met the most stable mooded woman, if that's a word. She's just,
Yeah.
which is
So
very rare, very
Bunny is a
rare.
unicorn.
And she's out
Yeah.
there. She's definitely a unicorn.
Nice. Nice
That's
job.
awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, hey, you
I
used
had
all your
nothing to
you
do with it.
No, you used all
All the
your
game.
That's a
game techniques
combination
to
of that's a
pull her in.
combination of genetics and strong father and
Oh,
good
wait, wait.
compass.
But you attracted this to
Yeah, oh
you
yeah.
with your
Yeah,
yes,
she
Did we
still
yes.
has
just
a
make Fort Worth Playboy
weakness for
blush? I think
say
I'm
again.
blushing. Did we make you blush?
That's pretty
That's okay.
funny.
That happens to me sometimes
It
too.
does. It
Yeah.
does.
Um, all right. Well, one more topic. I know we're sort of getting to the top of the hour here, and I don't want to be mindful of your time and not belabor too long. But I did want to ask you one more kind of thing, and I think we touched on it a little bit just right at the beginning of the podcast too. You talk about women don't like to make decisions, and the fewer decisions that you ask her to make, the better. And I think I'd love for you to expand on this because I think this is something that a lot of men miss, and it's huge. It's huge in the whole dynamic of kind of things running smoothly and
Right.
really part of that attraction game with
Yeah.
women.
Even from the beginning. I mean, it would shock you the number. I go, I talk to women, I say, what's the worst thing going on right now? And they'll be like, I'm dating this guy who's like 50, or I'm being asked out by guys that are like 50. They're like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to make the decision. Girls like to do two things. They like to show up and be hot. That's
Yep.
it. They're along for the ride. And I don't care if it's just, you're going out for drinks or if you're going on a 7-day trip. They want things just taken care of and they're happier. It doesn't have to be perfectly taken care of, but you have to have a plan. And I'll talk to Bunny about this a bit too. Is the plan is where it's because if she's planning shit on her own, she doesn't need you.
Mhm.
I mean, there will
Yeah.
be times, like child's doctor's appointments, there's things like that. But that's a good point, and I'm glad you asked. Women do not like making decisions. It causes them severe stress and anxiety and pain. What's the first time that women probably plan something? Their wedding.
Writing.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Then kids show up. That's when they really, all of their skills come into play. But those kids also take almost everything they have. So
Yeah.
they don't have time, for more.
Yeah.
Um, but I learned, and especially with dating, you have to plan everything from the meet to getting her home at the end of the night. You know, Everybody benefits, and girls just have more confidence in you, and they'll go along with your plan. I think a
Yep.
lot of guys are just afraid of women not going. They really don't care. They'll
Yeah.
just go. They're much
Yeah.
more pliable than you think.
So,
So
so when you advise men on this, so let's just say you've got a man, he comes to you and he's like, "Hey, I want to do this. I want to be more in charge. I want to make the decisions." And I think so. If you're advising him, you're saying, "Okay, you've connected with this girl on whatever dating app people are
yeah,
using these days, and you're about to
the
take her
kids.
out. Like, what is the practical like
I literally have
advice?"
a. It's called the fourth Playboy dating system,
Okay.
and it works. And it's funny because like if you read any of these, for lack of a better phrase, lay reports from these pickup artists, they meet. Your lead generation, be it online or at work, is all the same. The date is the lead generation's variable, but your sales funnel script is always the same. You see it if they do it in Europe, they do it in Japan. If they do it here, it's drinks, drinks at a different place that you can walk to, usually your place, not hers, your place, because you have control of the environment. Would you rather play a home game or an away game? You
Mm,
want to control the environment. There's less chances of stupid shit to happen.
Mm.
So the drinks, it's nighttime. Girls don't like having sex on a full stomach. And if she doesn't look like her pictures, you can bail. There's all kinds of reasons we don't do dinner. Everybody knows a movie's a bad idea for a first date because you don't actually interact. And basically, a date is a social meetup that can lead to sex. That's why it's different than meeting your sister. So the date, it's the system. And you, like any other system, you can use the same two bars or same two restaurants. But again, what I found with guys is I always recommend, especially in these big anonymous cities, is become a regular somewhere
Mm.
that you walk in. It doesn't take long, and you tip well, and you take care of people. They treat you like the mayor.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and women don't see that anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody's a nobody, but you walk in, they know your name. How many women do you bring here? You mean today? I mean,
Yeah.
it all works together because, and even the bartenders want you to win because they want you to come back and keep tipping.
Yeah.
Um, and the reason that we bounce, you've met this girl, you've exchanged some messages, she doesn't know you, but you bounce to a couple different places, and generally you need 7 to 15 hours of FaceTime with a woman for her to be comfortable to have sex, and it compresses time. It makes her feel like she's known you longer than she has.
Yeah.
How it works, I don't know. Does it work? Yes.
I get that, 'cause you have opportunity to, like, open more doors for her and just show her
Yeah.
how chivalrous you are and interact with multiple people versus
Yeah.
just the people at the first place. I'm buying into
Exactly.
all of this. I like it
It
all.
works. It works. And then you say, just give her plausible deniability. You can't say, hey, you want to come up and bang? Because she's going
Yeah.
to have to say no. You say, hey, would you like to see my artwork? Or I own a midget. Would you like to meet him? I mean, it's like one guy said, oh, I said, you want to see my dog? He did not own a dog.
Oh.
And no one ever asked to see the dog.
Is it so they come up and they're like, "Where's the dog?" And he's like, "Oh my god, it got out. I don't know. What does he say?" Yeah.
I'm so sad we should have sex.
That is, yeah, exactly. We're going to comfort each other.
Yeah.
That's very funny. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a system. And what's funny is like the same systems used by like pickup artists in Belgrade, London, New York City. It's the same thing. And it works. And it works for civilians just as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, it
I
works better than winging it.
yeah, I prefer all of those scenarios, like, when Rob says, "Hey, let's go to dinner. We're going to this place." And I'm like, "Great. All I have to do is dress for that place." When he's like,
Yeah.
"Where do you wanna eat?" And I'm like, I don't know."
Yeah.
No, that's just asking for trouble.
Yep.
Yeah.
And for women that, that when girls do go, well, what are we going to do? I go, it's a buddy's place. Just wear a black dress will be great.
Yeah.
That's all a girl really wants to know is
Right.
what do I wear?
How
Yeah.
do I not
They,
look
they don't care
wrong?
I've
about what they're going to do. You
yeah.
know, that's
Yeah.
why these guys want to go hiking, and she shows up looking cute and wearing sandals. Now
Yeah.
she's pissed.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
I no, I think and I think there's a lot of the married men who may listen to this, like there's a lot of wisdom in things you be thinking about. I mean, even like we're married a long time. We talk about that, right? But like, I will do things at times. I'm like, hey, we're going on a trip. She's like, where are we going? Like, doesn't matter. You need a bikini, you need a black dress, and you need whatever, right? And it's like
Right.
there's no decisions that she has to make. And women love
No.
that stuff, man.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
bags can I bring? That's my next question.
Yeah.
What do I
So
pack?
Yeah.
make those decisions. Do not be afraid to make those decisions in your relationships, whether they
No,
be
it's
single or married, and it's gonna benefit you.
it's very
Yeah.
sexy.
Yeah.
And I've heard the red pill coaches say, don't invite her to drinks. Tell her I'll be here if you want to come have drinks with me.
Yeah.
And
You suggest it in a frame of this is what I'm going to go do. Once
yeah,
you come along,
yeah.
you
And
know.
Right.
and Rob even does that. He'll be like, "Oh, Saturday I'm doing such and such. You can come if you want." And I'll be like,
Yeah.
"Ugh, that's not an activity I really want to do." But by Friday, I'm like, "All right, fine, I'll go."
Yeah.
That's good.
Because I want to
Yeah.
hang out with him, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, we're pretty much at the top of the hour. So,
mhm.
tell me just quickly, just, people, how do people find you? What are the basic resources you're offering them? And, yeah, let's go from there.
Okay. If you want to get direct contact, consult, that sort of thing, Fort Worth spelled out, FORTWORTH, playboy.com. Consult exchanges right there. If you're looking for books, manuals, how to, that's all on Gumroad, and it's Fort Worth Playboy spelled out at gumroad.com. And I have like 25 books out there. Dread, you know,
Yep.
the the game.
Good information to
Um,
know. Yeah.
yeah, how to build a dating system. All kinds of all Chateau's books are all together, so it's all there in one place. And there's different levels. It starts at about $30 a book. Um, and what else? And Bunny's books are also there. How to fuck like a porn star. You can't
Nice.
beat
Yeah.
that.
Maybe another book you need to add
Oh, it's in my list.
to the
It's in
thing.
my list.
Or is that reading for men?
No, it's either
Okay.
or. Yeah,
All right.
that's
Good.
pretty funny. That's a good question though. Um, and then on X, I'm at Fort Worth, just FW Playboy on X.com. I should be pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But I
Yeah. And
appreciate your
if
time.
anybody doesn't know how to find him, just look at our timeline. I share stuff from him all the time. I
Yeah.
like a lot of stuff
Yeah,
he does. So
yeah,
yeah.
I
Um,
appreciate it.
yeah, no, same. Like I said, I mean, I know people may think this is a weird conversation to have coming from the angles we're coming at it at, but I think, hopefully as people have understood as we talk through some of this stuff, there's just because you're married or not married, there's a ton of crossover in this stuff
Heck yeah.
and
Yeah,
it matters.
Never
Yeah.
stop dating, right?
Never stop dating. Yeah.
that's one thing that Buddy wanted me to say. Never stop dating for sure.
Yeah,
That's good.
100%. Super important. And the
Yeah.
couples that get that are the couples that survive and have great marriages. And, they fuck like porn stars. This is what people
That's
want in
right.
marriage, guys. Yeah. Um, cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. And, and now people know how to find you. So, thanks for tuning in and we'll see you guys on the next one.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Thank you.